All right, lads and lasses, and good day, mates. Welcome to another episode of the Tune Under podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's #1 podcast for all things Newcastle United. We're going to be talking about the Liverpool game that played out this morning for us, actually. Last night for everyone else in England, but for us, 5 o'clock in the morning kickoff. Finished at 7. Well, should have finished at 7. Finished at more like 8:30 by the time all the extra time was stuck on the end of it. But we'll get into that at some point soon. But yeah, before we get into this chat about Liverpool and also the preview of Crystal Palace, let's have some quick hellos from the lads, starting with Dimi. Dimi, back from your honeymoon in Greece and your star turn on the big screen doing the TV interview. How you going, mate?
A little bit better now. It's almost 12 hours since the morning game. I was not great in the morning.
You were
I did
raging,
tell the
weren't you?
staff.
Be honest.
I did tell
You
us.
were
I did send an email
absolutely
around. I
fuming.
sent an email around to the office. I said, "Look, something's happened this morning. Just if we can just push these meetings back and just leave me be for a little bit. I just didn't want to deal with any humans." And
Yeah, right.
yeah, it wasn't great, but I'm ready to get stuck into it now.
Yeah, proper mad Greek, aren't you, when you've got your fire in your belly? It's great. I love it. Welcome back, mate. And also diving in for Craggy, whose internet went tits up, is Keegan. Pushing that logo a bit, aren't you? You got the Tune Under the podcast logo in our faces. How are you going?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I've kind of recovered
good,
a little bit from
good
this
was probably
morning.
a lie. Yeah, I'm not good. I'm still bitter.
Still a bit bitter. Yeah, all right. Well, look, this is your opportunity to have a chat about this game and get your anger out. Get it out there into the world. Bit of self-healing, catharticism or something they call it, don't they? Yeah, so let's crack on then with the start of the talk about Liverpool. And let's just get the slides up for the teams as we usually do, starting with Liverpool as they were at home at Anfield. So Alisson in goal, Alisson in goal, Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Van Dijk and Robertson. Then it was Fabinho, Henderson, Elliott, Diaz, Mo Salah and Firmino. And for Newcastle, it was Popey in goal, then Trips, Lascelles, Dan Burn and Matt Targett, then Sean Longstaff, Joel Willock, Joe Linton, Miggy, Brian Razor, and finally, new boy Alexander Isaac. So we'll come on. There's a few things to talk about that Newcastle team, but let's just start off with the home team. Dimi first. Any surprises in that team for you?
Pretty much expected. There's obviously still got a few injuries and a few players out. So based on their team, I think it was the same team or virtually the same team that they played against Bournemouth. So it's pretty hard to change a team after a 9-0 win. So no real surprises, but definitely was wary of that front three, as you always are against Liverpool.
Yeah, it's a pretty good, decent team, isn't it? The bench is not too bad either. Keegs, anything in particular giving you the shits with that team?
All of them. They all give me the shits.
Optimistic, were you?
No, I was far from optimistic, especially when I seen our team. That sort of really brought the morale down at 5 o'clock in the morning. But how pleasantly surprised I was.
All right, well, let's have a look at the Newcastle team and let's see what that was that brought you down a bit. So, a few changes, obviously. I'll actually stick with you for the time being, Keegs. Jamal Lascelles made his return there, just like Dimi is today. Coincidence? You decide. Matty Targett back in the squad. And, of course, Isaac up front. I mean, the bench itself, Darlow, Botman, Shaw, Richie Lewis, Manquillo, Wood, Murphy, and Anderson. You could see Anderson, Shaw and Botman probably decent at the rest of its championship. But what was it about that team that was giving you the shits this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning?
It was more, I think it was more Lascelles starting and not Botman and Shaw on the bench. And I was happy Targett was back at left back. He's pretty solid and reliable, so I didn't mind that. But it was more Burn and Lascelles, who haven't really played together much, sort of since Burn arrived. And yeah, like some of our 5 of our probably starting 11 not playing playing at Anfield. They've just won 9-0. It doesn't exactly fill you with confidence, but now I think, more than anything this morning, it doesn't matter what the team is. Trust Eddie and trust the players that they're going to actually do the job.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so was it the defense in particular that was kind of worried?
But having said that, I was pretty stoked that Isak started. I think most of us feel that new players are just going to have to bide their time after what happened with Bruno. But I mean, with Bruno, we were winning games, and that midfield three were playing really, really well together. Like, I can understand why Eddie didn't want to disrupt it. But at the moment, Wilson's injured. Wood's playing like a piece of wood. So, why not throw him in and see what he can do?
Fair enough. And Dimi, Jamal Lascelles making his comeback just in time for you to have a word about him. Also, Matt Targett, he is very solid at the back, isn't he? It's great to see him back. Dan Burns did all right there, but he's not a left back. And Isaac, I'm going to call him Isaac. Stuff it, Isaac up front. So there's two things to think about with that team, wasn't it? The defense obviously was one of the main focuses. Anything else in that team that kind of made it stood out to you, or made you think, oh, it's going to be a long day?
Yeah, the one thing I thought, I did feel that we might rest is probably not the right word, but Joe Willock seems to be playing every game and playing 90 minutes every week. I thought this might have been a good chance, especially the way Anderson played off the bench against Wolves. I thought nothing really to lose against Liverpool. It might be a decent chance to throw him in from the start and see what he's got. Give Willock a rest. Considering we're down to 3 centre midfielders, we need to sort of rotate them through to get them by the time Bruno comes back. So I thought Anderson was within a shout to play, but my mate Jamal being back was not expected and not ideal when you've got Salah and Diaz running at him.
Was it just a case of managing the squad with an eye on Crystal Palace?
That's exactly what it was, I think. I think Eddie's thought, look, our structure's pretty good. We've got a team of, let's call them soldiers now, that they can come in and do a job. Palace is probably realistically the game that we can probably win. Liverpool, obviously, we always want to get a result, but you're not thinking you're going to get a result. So probably thought Shah and Botman, they can get a rest. And let's see what Burn and Lascelles can do together, I guess, at the back.
Absolutely. All right. Well, so that was the teams, and just quickly getting into the start of the game. Then, so I actually managed to miss, I don't know, first half an hour or something because I was in bed. I've got a little boy, and there was no way I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But I did actually wake up halfway through the first half, just in time actually to see Isaac score his goal, which is brilliant. But really, for the first 30 odd minutes or so, there's nothing really much in it apart from a lot of pressure from a lot of ball, rather, possession from Liverpool. It seemed obvious that we were going to play a counter-attacking kind of game. There was a flash over the bar from Brian Razor, and there was another flash over the bar at the other end by one of the Liverpool players. I can't even remember what his name was, but really nothing much was happening until 37-ish minutes when Isaac scores Newcastle's first goal, and he's down our right in the direction of play. It's a really. We were just talking about this before the game as well, before the pod, Dimi, weren't we? That the finish was pretty special, wasn't it? He made it look easy, but he picks up the ball from a lovely pass from Sean Longstaff. We'll get on that in a second. You can see in this slide, if you're watching along, that the Liverpool keeper's coming out, Alisson, to reduce the angle essentially, and I think he's probably expecting it to go to his near post. But Isaac actually uses this like a sweep motion outside of his right foot, and it goes past the keeper's right, and it goes right in the top corner one. It was a superb finish on his debut.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I think you could just see the quality that he's got. I mean, the first touch set himself up well, didn't panic, picked his spot, and like you said, he's virtually hit the roof of the net. I mean, it looks easy. It's 1-on-1. You'd expect most strikers to score, but we've seen countless times that anyone besides Callum Wilson would not be finishing that chance. So to see someone else besides Wilson who can go through 1-on-1, keep your composure and finish like that, especially against a world-class goalkeeper, I think that was a fantastic opening for for Isak.
Isaac. Yeah, no, it was absolutely brilliant as well. It shows he's got a fair amount of confidence as well coming into this game. Obviously, he's on a high; it's his debut, but he's away from home, and you could probably forgive him if he kind of fluffs his lines a little bit, but he absolutely nails it into the back of the net. And Keegan, just on this slide here, what a tremendous pass from Sean Longstaff in the first place. I mean, you look at this slide here; he's got, well, I mean, first of all, Isaac, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players around him essentially. And he manages to find himself in a bit of space, some clever movement, I suppose you'd say. And Longy, you can see just about that. He's looking in one direction, but he actually makes a reverse pass or a disguised pass through the two players nearest to him into the feet of Isaac. It was an absolutely perfect pass, wasn't it, from Sean Longstaff? And nice to see him contributing like that.
Yeah, for sure. Even before that, I thought our defensive shape was fantastic to turn the ball over where we did in the center of the pitch. That ended up with our Miggy out on that far side, and then the way we got it back again. Like previously, we'd never have done that because we wouldn't have had the amount of players forward to actually intercept the ball. And I think that was nearly just as pleasing as what the finish was like. Man, the finish, he was bloody cooler than the other side of the pillow, wasn't he? Even with his other one, like it was unreal. I've never seen like a striker for us play like that for a long time. But the way we've been playing, and yeah,
he didn't really. I think he just runs it. Yeah.
No, but yeah, our ability to create sort of front half turnovers and really get at him with pace and intent was really, really, really good to watch. And like the way he finished that was just, yeah, man, that was special.
It was very nice to see him celebrating in the way of fans as well. He kind of gave that a good old celebration, did he? Nice to see. So that is basically 37 minutes, 38 minutes, and Newcastle 1-0 up at Anfield. You're thinking, yeah, here come the Reds. They're probably going to absolutely do us over now. You've kind of rattled the cage a little bit here. But as it is, we get through to half time. Lots of pressure still from Liverpool, absolutely no doubt about it. And if we look at the halftime stats, 72 possession to Liverpool in this first half to Newcastle's 28, just tells its own story, really. As does the fact that they had 5 shots to Newcastle's 4, but they didn't actually have any on target, whereas Newcastle had 2 on target. Of course, one of them was a goal. But you can see more than double the passes, more than quadruple the successful passes. And they also had 8 corners. We didn't even have one single corner in that first half. It just gives you an idea of the direction of travel and the kind of pressure that Newcastle was under. I mean, we did invite that by playing a counter-attacking team, Dimi, didn't we? I mean, this is basically what we would have expected with the way we set up.
Yeah, I think so, especially with the team that we had in. I mean, we didn't have our metronome in the middle with Bruno. We didn't have Shah and Botman, who are both a lot more comfortable on the ball than Byrne and Lascelles. So it wasn't going to be the sort of or Maxi to hold the ball and do what he does. It was definitely going to be a game where we're going to have limited ball, and when we had it, we had to use it well. So the first half, despite that possession, I didn't think Liverpool, to be honest, looked like scoring against us. They didn't threaten us, and you can see that with the shots on target. Pope was not tested. So I think at half time we're well and truly on top, and if the game continued like that, we're well and truly comfortable. But as you said, Anfield eventually going to come. So it was never going to be an easy second half coming up.
No, well, it certainly didn't end up being a very easy second half, did it? Well, let's move on to the second half. Keegs, I'll come to you next. Starts pretty much off in the same vein as the first half. It's all pressure from Liverpool. It's all Newcastle trying to hit on the counter. And it is, in fact, a counter-attack that almost gets Newcastle 2-0 up. Again, it's through Isaac. He's on the shoulder of his defender. And he picks up the ball, runs to the goal, puts about 2 defenders on their arse, and then beats the keeper. And then the flag goes up and rules it as offside. And we didn't, unlike a lot of VAR decisions where you kind of get the answer straight away, you can see it on screen almost instantly. This was one of those occasions where play just kind of casually begins again almost, and you don't get to see what the hell happened with VAR. So we had to wait a little while to see what on earth happened with that VAR call. But you can see it on screen here. This is directly from what was shown on TV. So the blue line and the red line, the blue line, I think, is the defender. Red line is the decision to say that we're offside, or one of those ways around. Anyway, the red line definitely says that we're offside. You can see quite easily that his foot isn't offside, but what looks like is offside is his knee and most certainly his shoulder and his sort of top half of his body, essentially. Keegan, I'll come to Dimi next because I know he's going to be absolutely raging when he gets a chance to talk about this. But just to start with, how did you... Let's just talk about the offside first. How did you see that offside?
Well, unless they've changed the rules, I thought if it was
They always change the
close,
rules.
they let it play out and then we'll go back to it. Similar to what Shelby did. Oh, what game was it? Was it like... No, it might have been the year before.
Sheffield United.
Sheffield
a few years
United,
ago.
where sort of everyone stopped and he kept playing and ended up scoring, and then they
Yeah.
went to VAR and he was onside. I mean,
He counted, yeah.
how you can... linesman can definitively say from... He's on the other side of the pitch, obviously, because he's not in the in the shot.
Yeah.
How he can confidently say that's offside is baffling. Well, I don't know how you can come to that conclusion in real time.
That doesn't matter though. That's just the linesman and his daft flag. What really matters is what VAR says.
But yeah, I still don't know how you can definitively say that's offside either.
Well, Dimi, I did ask you before this if you would look at the rules and maybe give us a bit of an idea as to what the rules are. I believe it's any party bodies ahead of the opposition player. But as you can see on this slide here, this is from VAR onside. It's a Twitter handle. They've drawn the perspective lines, and you can sort of see that the white line that indicates where Isaac's shoulder is just ahead of where the foot of the last defender is. So by the rules of the game, as you understand it, Dimi, is this technically correct and offside?
So the issue I've got is the rule is, from my understanding, is it's got to be with a body part that you can score. So correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you can score with your shoulder. So
no, because it depends. It depends exactly where it is. I mean, you could kind of do
well,
that.
exactly.
Suppose, but
Your shoulder on your,
one.
if you're looking at me, yeah, on your side, not on the top near your neck. So, like Keegan said, the issue that I had with this was the process. I mean, there is no way that in that 0.5 seconds it looked like that the VAR checked and said, yeah, clear offside. There is no way that he could have drawn that line, done his protractor and his calculations to work out, yep, good decision, linesman. That's what really shit me about the whole decision, because anytime we either score a goal or we get a penalty or there's a red card or something against us, the VAR go through a fine-tooth comb. There's a 5-minute delay. They're looking at 50 million angles. It's they have to find every possible solution to not give us the decision. So the fact that the linesman called it, like Keegan said early, VAR took, it would have been 2-3 seconds, and the referee waved play on, and Allison had played on. So that's what shit me about it. Technicality, his knee from that still, his knee potentially is offside. But again, that camera looks like it's 500 kilometers away at Goodison Park, and I would question the quality of that camera. So I'd love to see if that happened to Salah, if it happened to Firmino, who's through, how they would have let that. They would have let them play it out, let them score, let them celebrate. It may have gone to VAR. VAR might have said, inconclusive, the protractor doesn't work today, who knows? And the goal might have stood. So that's what really shit me. It was the process, the fact that it was a quick decision. And like you can see from that still, if you're watching with us on YouTube, it's not clear-cut offside. It may be marginally offside, but it's not something that should take 0.5 seconds or 1 second as it took during the game. It just doesn't match up with what they've done previously.
Well, that's a nice lead into the next slide, actually, Keegan. This has been mentioned at length on Twitter just after this game here. Here is the slide, Rashford against, I don't know who's playing, is it Leeds?
Liverpool.
Liverpool and White, right, okay. So he's on the shoulder of his man. His foot is quite clearly, at least by the looks of things, from where the green line is, ahead of the defender's foot, but the defender's shoulder's being marked out as the marking point, or his knee perhaps. and that is given as a green line to Rashford, as in he's onside. And I believe the explanation after that was he was given the benefit of the doubt. So if you contrast that decision, Keegs, with the decision that went against us, I don't want to suggest there's a conspiracy, but is there an inconsistency with these decisions?
The fix is in. The fix is in. Just on offside, really. You can have all these stupid bloody technicalities. Can we just make it's as simple as your feet? So don't worry about where your arm is or if your head's in front of his foot. Like in real time, in real play, if Isak's making that run there, he's not going to bend his head forward to make sure he's onside. Like, it's just fucking stupid. Like, just make it your feet. Like, no one's thinking about it. It's so easy to adjudicate. Just make it as simple for everyone. Simple to understand.
I think it used to be your feet, though. The problem was the feet could be onside, but you could just still nut the ball into the goal from a corner or something, and it would stand because your feet were onside, kind of thing. Like if you're doing if you're leaning forward and nutting it, then technically speaking, from that rule,
if you look at that still, Lee, what advantage is he getting from leaning forward? The advantage is absolutely minuscule. So that's the point that I think Keegan's trying to say.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying. Sure, this is what I was saying in the chat, though. I mean, if they want to keep this thing about having scoring body parts all have to be on side, and then I mean, even then, I bring it back to that picture of Rashford, where quite clearly by the way the line's being drawn, his foot is offside. So there's an inconsistency right there. But even if that was the rule, I think that rule has to be applied with a bit of granularity. I don't think it can just be black and white like it might have been applied here. So, for example, what I mean is, if he uses his head to gain an advantage on his defender in this position, or more likely, if he's in the box and his foot's on side, let's say, but he actually nuts the ball in by leaning forwards, keeping his foot in place, then fine. Count those things as being offside. But when it's a situation like this where there was no discernible advantage to Isak, it was just really good play, essentially, then I think that rule becomes a bit of a joke, frankly. And, like I say, you just have to compare and contrast where they've drawn the lines there to where they've drawn the lines against Rashford, and you can quite clearly see his foot is offside. So it's not the case that it is any body part scoring, because that would have been offside. But of course, he apparently got the benefit of the doubt. Newcastle didn't.
It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Sorry. Before you move on, it's complete rubbish, because VAR. I'm going to go on another round about VAR, but VAR was not brought in to pull out the protractor and to draw these squiggly lines to see if his cock or his foot or his knee is ahead of the other person. It was not brought in for that. So the fact that we're bringing goals back for something like this is complete stupidity. I mean, people want to see goals. No one wants to see great goals ruled out because of their knee or shoulder or whatever they've decided here. It's the whole principle is ridiculous, and it's just another reason why VAR itself and the implementation of it, especially in the Premier League, is just ridiculous. It's just poor.
Even that would have been Lee,
sure.
Like for example, you use this one here. Like you said, there's no advantage at all. Like absolutely zero. But if you're worried about things in the box, maybe there's a sort of different, like it's body parts inside the 18-yard box then. Once again, easy to adjudicate. Guys can't be diving from headers from offside positions if their feet are behind. But like this one, like this example here, like there is zero advantage. Like he's 40 yards from goal.
Yeah, more exactly.
Like what is he going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, let's see if there's any fuss kicked up about this in the press. But since it's little old Newcastle, small town from the north, I'd very much doubt anything's going to be said of it. And just coming back to the goal, actually, what a good goal that was as well, by the way. The guy runs from halfway line, basically, with the ball. He skins Robinson. I think he plants on his arse with a little cut back, a drag back. The other defender comes along and he kind of just skirts around him, beats him. Alisson comes out to try and smother the ball, and he blamos that right past him on his near post as well. It was Dimi, he finished off with a bit of a plum, didn't he?
It was brilliant. I mean, you can see the bloke oozes class. His technique is superb. He's cut back there to take out two defenders was brilliant. But then again, after doing all of that, the composure to rifle it again in top of the net.
Absolutely.
I mean, this guy's going to be special, like Keegan said, and it was just a shame. I was up. I didn't hear the flag until later. I was up ready to celebrate 2-0, but wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And I will
It's
say
funny,
also, I will say also that Miggy bust an absolute lung to get into that box in port, and he actually found himself in a really good position as well. Still wouldn't have counted, but brilliant effort from Miggy. Sorry, go on, Keegs.
No, I had my 6-year-old woke up at 6 o'clock, and she was in bed watching her iPad next to me, and she'd sort of curled into me, and then he sent Robertson to the shops, and then he stepped around and smashed it in, and I've gone, Jesus Christ! And she's like, what? I'm like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. Like, just pulled me arms out from behind her head, and she's all frazzled, and I'm going, Jesus! And then it was offside, and she's like, what? I'm like, oh no, nothing, don't worry about it.
Well, at least you kept
But I
your.
reckon, do you reckon on that second goal, you know how Eddie and Tyndall always stand together? I reckon they just would have looked at each other with their eyebrows raised and went like, "Oh shit, we've got one here." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
it
no,
was decent couple of goals, one goal when he that stood. What was going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, I was watching that game this morning as well with my little boy. Up from like 5:20. Thanks very much. And when that goal went in, it sounds like you managed to control yourself a little bit better than I did, because I was like, "Holy shit!" And the baby just looks at us, and I'm like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't be
Yeah.
swearing in front of your kid." Like,
Yeah, they got
and
to
then
learn
it
it
gets rolled
sometime.
off. I'm like,
Don't
"Oh,
worry about
for lipping hell's sake!" Oh well, never mind. Well, look, that's probably about the only smiling we'll do for the rest of this pod review of the Liverpool game, because it was only a short time after that Liverpool actually get the equaliser. Yeah, in fact, it was only about 7 minutes. And it's a bit of a soft one, truth be told, and I think this maybe was just a case of having done all the running in this game. Well, not all the running, but we'd been kind of high pressing the whole game, and Liverpool were just coming at us, and eventually, cracks start to emerge a little bit. And I've frozen this frame here just as the ball's being hit by Firmino, but the ball first of all arrives to him from Salah on the wing there. Dan Burn doesn't get near him, and Big Joe is probably like a lace away from actually blocking this and cutting it out, but it just gets past him into Firmino. And the goal itself is, I mean, there's obviously there's 4 Newcastle defenders in and around where the ball's going to go. There's obviously one Liverpool player there as well. Pope is on his near post, and Firmino really doesn't hit it that. I don't know if he just doesn't hit it that well, or if he's just so good that he knows he doesn't have to hit it that well, and he kind of more or less just strokes it without even a great deal of power, and it somehow manages to get past all 4 of our Newcastle players, and maybe the Liverpool man gets out of the way to kind of distract Pope. But if you watch it as well, Pope's beaten by, I think it might go under his arms or something. He's literally on top of the ball and still manages to get under him and into him. Dimi first, bit of a kick in the nuts. To be fair, it was coming, but what could we have done to have prevented that goal, do you think? Did the VAR decision, did that give Liverpool a bit of a boost as well?
I think it always does when it goes against your opposition and something happens, like a goal disallowed or there's a penalty or something happens like that. It definitely gives the other team a boost. But I think you can see on that frame there that probably just a lack of concentration potentially. But that's what happens against great teams. You switch off for half a second, 2 seconds. Firmino finds space and he punishes you. The ball had to go through my mate's legs as well, which was probably a little bit unlucky. So that's potentially why Pope didn't see it till later, because it did go through little Sells' legs. But when that went through, it was still half an hour. Well, it turns out a lot more than half an hour, but still a long way to go. And it was ominous signs. But yeah, it was a frustrating way to concede, especially so quickly after we thought we had a second.
Yeah, and Keegan, would you say the defence, or in particular Pope, were at fault for that one? Could we have done any better there? I do think Pope, maybe it was too close to him. Maybe that's one of the ones where you can't get down quick enough because it's too close to you. I don't know, but what do you think?
It was a disappointing goal to give up, purely like we defended so well up until that point, and they never really had any like clear chances, and like it looks like on the live, felt like we were scrambling a bit. Like we've got 8 people in the box there plus the keeper, and we still couldn't shut the shot down. Like we just got caught scrambling. And I think a lot of our goals this year have been from that. Like when we're set, we're really, really hard to break down. Like I don't think we've actually conceded from a set, like when our defense has been set. So hopefully, they can sort of tighten it up a little bit, but still have that attacking threat going forward. But yeah, it's still a bit of a work in progress, I think, where that balance of attack, but still attack in a defensive shape, where if we do turn the ball over, we're still right behind the ball.
Mhm.
We're still secure and we've still got good shape. But like you said, like they were really starting to bang on the door, and I think eventually, like it was gonna crack anyway, but it didn't. Yeah, unfortunately for us, we still had
I can see
45 minutes to keep him out for
yeah,
another one.
yeah, absolutely. I can see you don't want to mention the next thing, but let's get on to the next thing. So basically, after this goal goes in, it's 1-1. We do, in fairness, a fairly good job of keeping Liverpool away from us for the rest of standard time, really. It is still all pressure from Liverpool, though. It's very much. I think we must have realised there's a point to be won here rather than 3 to lose. And we are at this point, after this goal goes in, we are very, very deep in this game. We are basically doing that thing where we get the ball every now and again, falls loose in the box, and we just blam it into absolutely nowhere. And of course, all you do then is you have a slight chance to reset, but all you're doing is inviting them back onto you, and it's exactly what happens. It just happens time and time again in this game. Once they're at 1-1, the Klopp's going off it on the line like he always seems to do when it's going against them. But as it is, we get through the 90 minutes, and up goes the board. 5 minutes of extra time, which to me felt a bit like too much. But truth be told, Newcastle were wasting time at almost every opportunity that they had. So it was also kind of understandable that, yes, it sounds like a lot. And it was 4 minutes on the first half as well. But at the same time, we've kind of let that happen by going down all the time or by time wasting in other ways. Still, it's 1-1 when 95 minutes goes ticking by and you're thinking, all right, fair enough. We're going to get a point here. First time, God knows how long we're going to do all right at Anfield. No, you're getting nothing, mate. You're getting absolutely nothing. I'll start with you first, Demi. 98th minute. I'm just going to bring the slide up here. The ball falls loose to Carvalho. I forgot his name again. Carvalho. And he's on as a sub, so he's fairly fresh. And he's inside the 8-yard box. He's right up tight to Nick Pope. Nick Pope's sort of staying a little bit to his line, and Sean Longstaff is in and about the ball, but he doesn't get to it quick enough. And Carvalho rifles it basically into the top of the net. It's actually a pretty good finish. It could have literally went anywhere. And he's probably helped, I would imagine, by the fact that Kieran Trippier, the smallest person on the pitch, is the one on the line as well. But taking nothing away from the fact that the ball comes to him and he makes absolutely no doubt about it. It was a very scrambled, and this came on the back of a corner as well. It was very scrambled, messy, kind of backs against the wall, last minute of the FA Cup kind of goal, wasn't it? They all count, of course, Dimi. But what could we have done to stop this one? And I'll mention a few things in a minute. But what do you think we could have done to have stopped this one?
Well, we'll put to a side that it was scored in the 98th minute and there was 5 minutes at it. We'll put that to one side for now. But in terms of the actual corner, there was probably 3 or 4 chances there for us to clear it. I think Longstaff had a chance first with a head. Potentially Lascelles on the initial cross was up there for the header. Willock had a chance to even leave the ball. Pope, I think, was about to pick the ball up. So there was 3 or 4 moments where the ball was bobbling around.
Let me show you that slide there. So absolutely. So just in the build-up to the ball falling loose for Carvalho, there's this, and it's another bit of a added kind of spice to the heartbreak, I suppose. You can see here that Nick Pope is coming out to basically scoop up what is a loose ball at this point. In fact, it could have been left. It could have been left. It would have went out for nothing. It would have just went out dead, and that's probably the game. But Willock, who's been on the entire game, he's probably really knackered, but he's still actively trying to help in defence. The ball goes past him, and I think he just instinctively flicks out his right foot to try and do something with that ball. He probably doesn't know exactly where everyone is behind him. Obviously, no shout from Pope. Pope probably thinks it's loose enough, I'll just grab it, and he doesn't come out perhaps and command these areas as much as he perhaps could have. But yeah, so there was that one. Did we go on? Continue with what else we could have got right in this shit show of a goal?
Yeah, there's multiple. So, I mean, I don't want to have a go at Pope. Could Pope command it and just go and grab the ball instead of waiting for it? Who knows? There was a series of events, even in that short 5-6 second span. There was a series of events that had to go wrong for us to concede, and it did. All we needed was one ball to go one way, and we'd held on and got the draw. It was just an absolute awful way to end the game, and you knew when that went in, that was going to be it. That was going to be the last kick of the game. So it was a disastrous way to end the game, and we can talk about in a minute how and why the game took that long. But yeah, we definitely had our chance to clear the ball. There was 3 or 4 moments there that we probably should have cleared it.
Absolutely. I'll come on to that next point now, Keegan. 98th minute, 8 minutes of extra time in that half. What was your opinion on that?
Is this a safe space?
It can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
I thought it was absolutely mind-boggling how that time ended up where it was. Like 5 minutes of injury time, that's fine. I mean, there was goals, subs, numerous stoppages throughout the half. But like an extra 3, people say, well, Pope went down. Pope was down. They counted it. It was a minute 15 that the game had stopped for a minute 15 when Pope was down at the start of injury time. Like, I honestly, I thought as soon as we didn't really take that chance when Big Joe crossed it in for Anderson, but that should have been the end of the game. Like that was the end of the game. Look, play it stopped. We'll give you one last chance, but yeah, I think that if that kick went over the bar, I don't think it would have. I think the game would have kept going until they scored. Like he just would have kept playing until Liverpool scored, and then, or if we scored, he would have just kept going until they hit the front. Like it was. There's no reason for it to be 98 minutes. Like no reason at all. And the thing is, they'll never come out and explain why, and they'll just hide behind anonymity, and no one will ever know. And then it just leaves one group of fans absolutely fuming that it was actually got to that point in the first place.
Well, Dimi, I'm going to ask for your opinion on this in just a second. But one thing I want to say as well is just on that point of Joe crossing across to Anderson. I said it in the chat. All Joe had to do was go into the corner. The best way you can defend a point like that when you've got the ball is to be on the other side of the pitch. And that's exactly where he was. And yes, okay, scoring the last minute for us would have been absolutely magnificent. Of course it would have been. And I can understand why any player would want to think to himself, oh, I can see an opportunity to get this last minute winner. But the game management side probably should have kicked in for my money, and he should have thought himself, this game is a point. It's a point away from Anfield. We continue our unbeaten run. I'm in the corner already, pretty much. And in fact, if you remember, he didn't have anybody around him either. He could have stood there for about a minute, probably, plus whatever else he could win out of it. Maybe he's even won a corner. Maybe he's won a throw in. Whatever it might have been that would have happened, it would have took up a lot of time. And he didn't. He decided to cross it. And that brings the impetus back onto Liverpool, and they go up the other side of the pitch, get a corner, score, win the game. Dimi, 98 minutes. Pope did go down for a bit. I think 1 or 2 lads were down stretching for cramp as well. But are you firmly in the conspiracy camp that this is absolute bullshit, and it's only because it's us and Liverpool, and Liverpool could have kept on going until they won?
I'm not in the conspiracy where it's about us, but it's definitely your big 6 teams or big 4 teams get those minutes. I mean, I've seen countless times where we've played and there's been people wasting time, there've been stoppages, and the referee will say 3 minutes at a time or 4 minutes at a time. And then during that at a time, there'd be players injured or players waiting, and he would never add extra time. So on a technicality, these guys can hide behind it and say, "Oh, Pope was down for 1 minute and 13 and 26 seconds and whatever it was," and this guy cramped for this long, and the throw-in took this long, and the goal kick took less long. I mean, if we're going to do that, there should be about 10 minutes extra time in every single match, because this sort of thing, when there's a scores a level, when someone's trying to hold on for a point, this sort of thing happens all the time. So the fact that he kept playing, especially after that Joe Linton cross came to nothing and the ball went back to Allison after eventually, the fact that he kept playing still and deep in the 97th minute, I mean, it was ridiculous. It felt like he was just waiting. Let's give Liverpool one more chance. Hopefully they score. If they do, then we can say full time up. There it is, and then it all kicked off at the bench, didn't it? So no, it's ridiculous, and it only seems to be that your Liverpools, your Manchester Uniteds, your Chelseas, they get that extra couple of minutes, that extra chance to win the game.
All right. Well, it's not a new thing either. Back in my day when I were a lad, we used to call it Fergie time, because you can guarantee it was Man United getting all these curious extra minutes from fuck knows where. And sure enough, more times than not, they would actually get something out of it as a result. And in fact, in this game, when that went to their corner, that was a perfect time to call the game off as well, of course. But Dimi, you had an observation about the referee and how many watches he had. He was like a bit like Swiss Tony, wasn't he? How many watches did you see? And is that adding to your conspiracy theory?
I saw 4 watches, and I did see a video of him walking off where he was staring a considerable amount of time at one of them. So maybe this twit thought, "Oh shit, I've looked at the wrong watch. I forgot to stop this one. Oh, what have I done?" And he's just kept walking. But no, I don't think I'm not going to give him that much credit. It was just one of those things that he's at Anfield. Maybe he feels the pressure that the crowd's going crazy. Let's give him a chance. Give him a chance. And it was. Unfortunately, we were the ones on the wrong end of it.
Yeah, well, that was the end of the game anyway. So that ended up 2-1 to Liverpool. A pretty valiant rearguard action from Newcastle, but ultimately nothing to show for it at the end. Just quickly, Keegan, you've called yourself Klopp as a no, boy, is that?
Pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? The way he carried on. I was going to say for 90 minutes, but it was probably 110 by the time the game finished and stuff like that. Like, can you imagine Eddie Howe doing what he did during the game and after the game? Even like
tell us
constant. It was constant, wasn't it?
Yeah, like
what was he doing? What was? Come on, mate. It's a safe space. What was?
Everything. He just complained about everything.
He's a sook.
Anything that doesn't go his way. Like, I think Craig said it beautifully in the group chat. He said he moans more than a German on Pornhub.
Fair enough. All right. He is a bit of a whinger, in fairness. I don't mind Klopp very much. I think he's all right. But fair enough. Klopp is a knob. So let's just have a look at the final stats then. Full-time stats. It still remains, funny enough, 72 possession to 28 in Liverpool's favour. In the end, they had 23 shots to our 5, so a significant increase. 6 on target to our 2, scored 2 of them, of course. They had 13 corners, and we didn't even have a single corner that entire game. I can't remember the last time we had a game where we didn't get a corner. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? And 9 fouls to them and 10 fouls to us. I guess that just shows again the corners thing, how much we were sitting back in that game. What's next? Table. So I did suggest a couple of pods ago that we should end the season when we were like second place. Sadly, that didn't happen. I don't know why. I did send a letter in. Mustn't have got there. Probably Ozpost. Lost it somewhere, no doubt. Useless for me. Anyway, but Newcastle in 11th, played 5, won 1, drawn 3, lost 1. And with 1 plus goal difference, which is in itself quite nice to see. And on 6 points. And Liverpool, top of this little table here, played 5, won 2, drawn 2, lost 1. 9 goals plus. Oh, of course they did that 9-0, didn't they? And 8 points. So still 6 points mid-table. Are we happy with that? Where we are right now? We've only played 5 games, but we have played Man City and Liverpool in those games. Dimi, first, are you happy with enough with the start of the season thus far?
I think our performances has been fantastic. I mean, bar the Brighton game where we're a little bit scratchy and probably lucky to get a point. I think our performances have been fantastic. So the points will come. We keep playing like that, and we get a better run in terms of the fixtures. I think the points will come. So yeah, I'm reasonably happy where we are, and reasonably happy that in the first 5 games we've given Liverpool and Man City, the supposed 2 clear best teams in the league, better games than most teams in the league will give them. So I think is a lot of positive signs.
Giving them a bloody nose, and I do wonder if a lot of the complaining from the Liverpool fans as well, as much as it was Klopp, is just a little insight into their minds, and they realise that this isn't a pushover game anymore, and the future's kind of mapped out a little bit as to what to expect in the coming seasons. All things being equal. That's just speculation. Keegan, are you happy enough with the first 5 games so far and the points?
Yeah, especially like Dimi said, to get Liverpool and Man City out of the way in the first 5 games. Although we only got 1 point, we were by far disgraced against both of them, and should have got points from both games. So, I mean, going forward, and once I'd sort of had some lunch and blood pressure had come down to a reasonable level again, I'd come to the conclusion and then landed on, like, it was a really, really positive morning for us. I mean, we had basically half of our best starting 11 not playing, and to go where we did, play how we did, and be minus a minute and a half away from getting a point, I mean, it's pretty good. And what Eddie's done with this group of players is pretty remarkable, and they're all on the same page, and they're great to watch, and it's just a really, really exciting time to be a Newcastle fan, I reckon.
Absolutely. Look, you've got to remember, this is the start of the process, and we are already giving teams like City and Liverpool a good old kicking, and it's going to get better, and early days. All right, so just to finish off
Sorry,
this
Lee.
one. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, mate. Just before you go, I've got a good stat for you by the infamous hairy hands on the socials. He has said, he has said that Newcastle aren't very good at time wasting. It was actually the 9th highest rated game for the ball being in play. So for as much as us time wasting and rolling around and stop-start game that Klopp would say, out of all the Premier League games this season, it was ranked number 9 for most minutes ball being in play. So I think that just puts to bed the fact that there shouldn't have been 4 minutes in the first half plus 12 minutes of added time in the match.
Yeah. Well, part of that whinging from Klopp was almost certainly that they weren't getting their own way as well. You've got to bear that in mind. They've just thrashed Bournemouth 9-0, and here they've had a completely different opposition and problem to solve. They did solve it in the end, but let's say they had a little bit of help. Let's leave it there. All right, so moving on. Just finally, very, very much finally, Keeks, I'll come to you since Dimi just spoke there. Who's your man of the match?
I thought Willock put an absolute shift in. I said in our group chat as well. He was everywhere, and you could tell by the end he was out of tickets. He was cooked. I just thought he was massive today, and yeah, he was my man of the match.
I love some of the phrases you lot come up for down here. Out of tickets. Well, who thinks?
Yeah, the petrol tickets. Yeah.
Petrol tickets.
Yeah, of course. Everyone knows what a petrol ticket is. What the fuck's a petrol ticket?
Oh. It's a ticket for your petrol.
Yeah.
Your fuel. You need fuel. You need fuel to operate. It's your operation fuel.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think my message is getting across here. Dimi, man of the match, please.
I'm actually going to go his midfield partner, Sean Longstaff. I thought that was one of his better games for us in a long time. I didn't think he gave the ball away as much as he has been. He didn't make silly decisions as he did against Wolves, especially in that first half. And obviously that through ball was world class. I mean, if that's a De Bruyne or a Salah putting that through ball in, everyone would be raving about it on Match of the Day and saying, oh, what a beautiful through ball. The fact that it's little old no-name Sean Longstaff, he doesn't get the porter. So I thought he had a great game. He sat a bit deeper, didn't push on, which is fair enough against Liverpool. But I think yeah, I think he was very good this morning.
Fair enough. I will. Yeah, I mean I think it was his best game by a long way. I'm going to go with Big Dan Burn. He was another one who was absolutely all over the place on that pitch. He was up front half the time. He was at the back. He was on the wing. He was absolutely everywhere that you want him to be. It was a really good performance. Good shout out to Pope as well. He made 1 or 2 decent saves. Willock definitely out on his feet, out of tickets. And it was, and I think the 2 goals, just because of the way he took them, Isaac, I thought those 2 goals just gave us a little glimpse as to what we can probably expect in the future. If he can do that on a regular basis, we are going to be absolutely cooking. All right, so that is the end of the Liverpool review. 2-1 to Liverpool. That's the end of Newcastle's unbeaten start to the season, of course, as well. But hopefully we can take a lot of positives out of that game into the next one. So we're going to have a very, very quick preview of the Palace game. Starting off with Newcastle's predicted side, we've gone for Popey in goal. Target, Botman, Shaw, and Trips. Then we've got Fraser or ASM, depending on the fitness of ASM. Anderson, Joe Linton, Bruno or Longstaff, again, depending on the fitness of Bruno. Then Miggy and Isaac up front. Dimi. So basically we're saying here, Botman and Shaw return. I think that's pretty much a given at this point. How do we feel about ASM right now, and Bruno for that matter? Are we confident that those 2 are going to actually make it back for this one?
Well, Eddie did say last night that ASM hasn't got a hamstring. It was one of those, they keep calling them dead legs, which I was trying to explain to you boys is, I think, another lingo for corky. So
Corky.
Corky. So depending on how quickly he recovers from his old corky, he may or may not play. But Eddie did say that if he didn't make this game, he'd definitely play the week later against the Hammers. So
yeah,
I think especially being ASM being such an important player, I probably wouldn't risk him. I think Fraser's been decent enough in his limited role in the last couple of games. I think if he's not 100% fit, I'd keep him out for another week and just get him cherry ripe.
Righto. And Keegs, I don't think you were involved in this selection. It was meant to be Craig, of course, who couldn't make it today. Do you agree? The one thing that's standing out there for me as well is Willock replaced by Anderson. Is that something you would go along with?
Oh, it depends on Bruno, I guess. Because he has played in every game so far, and we've had a busy couple of weeks, so I can see him having maybe a managed game, whether he comes off the bench for a 20-minute cameo. But yeah, I think it depends on Bruno's availability. If he's fit, I think they'll probably go with Longstaff, Bruno, and Joe. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I didn't see Eddie's quotes after the game. I tried to stay off social media because I was fuming. But if he said that about Maxi, then I think that's really good, because the last thing we need is for him to do a hamstring for the first time he's ever tracked back. So he'd never do it again. So as long as if he hasn't done it, then that's a good thing for us going forward.
All right, fair enough. So still a bit of fluidity in this lineup, I think we can say, until we have a little bit more information on various injuries. And of course, there was 1 or 2 niggles picked up in this game against Liverpool as well. Some more corkies. I can't remember exactly who. I think Isaac went off with a corky, didn't he? And
he got a corky. Yep.
Didn't Target as well? Did Target have a little? There was someone else. I can't remember who it is.
He just come back from one.
No, it was Lascelles.
Lascelles,
yeah.
Corky.
Yeah. You'll be devil about that one, Dimi, no doubt. If you can't make that. But that's our first predicted team, give or take 1 or 2 injuries that we'll find about the next day or 2. And just finally, what we expect Crystal Palace's team to be. I suspect this is probably the same as the last one. Their goalie, whose name I can't even read out because I can't say it. Anyone who's their goalie is?
Guita.
Okay, then you got Ward.
Guita, something like that, yeah.
Ward, Gooey, Anderson, and Klein, Decore, and then Zahar, Easy, Schlupp, Olisi, and Metadata up front there. I think for me personally, the one thing that really stands out, oh my God, I'm so shit with names. One of the things that really stands out for me in this team is Zaha. He's scored 4 and 4, I think, so far this season. So he is on fire, and he's a very good player coming in off the wing usually. Keegan, first, where are the main threats in this team aside from Zaha?
Apart from Zaha and you saying their names, I'm not sure where the real threats come from. They've been a bit hot and cold the first sort of 4 weeks. So I still think if we play the way we have been, like, we should win this game.
Would you go along with that one, Dimi? Anything standing out for you in that lineup?
Look, they're a dangerous team. Palace on their day, especially on the break, they've got lightning pace. Eze, Elise, Zaha, they're rapid. So definitely not to be taken lightly. But like Keegan said, I definitely think, especially with our physicality, we can really impose ourselves. And I really hope that this morning's game sort of acts as a motivation, encouragement for us to really come out against Palace in the first 20 minutes and just stamp our authority. I think that would be a great progression for this team if we're able to do that. But definitely won't be a pushover. But I think that, like Keegan said, we nowadays with Eddie, with his team, with Eddie, I think we're pretty confident going against most teams at home.
That's it. And of course, there hasn't been a home game in 2. So, well, 3 if you count the game against the what do you call it, League Cup game. So it'll be nice to get the fans. It'd be nice to get the fans back in and shouting and screaming and driving the team on. So I want to jump straight back to the table just briefly because Palace is on this list as well. They're in 13th. Newcastle, as a reminder, are in 11th. So Newcastle have 6 points. Palace have 5. They've played 5. They've won 1, drawn 2, and lost 2. They have the -2 goal difference. So maybe a suggestion that I'm not sure who they've played, but it could suggest that their defense is perhaps a little leaky. So we'll
they've
see.
Played City. They've played City and Liverpool as well. Just for FYI.
Right. Well, that probably explains a lot then. Fair enough. But with Isaac up front, I'm feeling pretty confident. If Bruno's
Alexander, I think just go with Alexander to make it safe for you.
Just call him Alex.
Yeah. Alex, Jesus, can't even say Alexander. All right.
Call him Big Dog. So if Big Dog's playing, I think we've got a great chance of getting something out of that game. And I think we'll probably use, and the fans will probably use that perceived injustice against Liverpool as a driving force for this game. I'm pretty sure that'll be the case. All right, so that is the end of the Palace preview. Not really much to say, and we'll just round that out finally with the score prediction. Dimi, you've got a stuck face there. I'll come to Keegan first.
He's happy.
Keegan, he's happy. He's super happy. Keegan, what's your score prediction for the Palace home game, please?
I'm going to go 2-0.
Scorers?
To the good guys.
Who's getting the goals, mate?
Alex.
Yep. Big Dog.
And I'm going to go Botman.
Botman? Really?
Botman. Yeah, we're actually going to score from a corner.
Did you see that kick that he took a goal the other day that bounced off Mars?
He's going to head it. He doesn't have to kick it.
Well, he is a big lad, so let's hope you're right. Dimi?
We're due. We are due a header from a corner.
Fair enough. Dimi, if you can hear us, reach for the light. What's your score prediction?
If you can hear me, 2-0 to us. A double for Isak.
Big Dog. Big Dog's getting the love. I'm going to go for a 2-1 prediction. I think Big Dog will get one of those as well. And I think he'll get both, actually. I think Big Dog will get 2. But I do think Palace will probably get something, especially with the way Zaha plays. Although I haven't said that, he can be really huffy. If the game's not going for him, he can just huff his way out of the game and you never hear from him. So we'll wait and see how that goes. All right, that'll do. That'll do for the review and preview. Disappointing day in the end, but positive to take from that performance, and hopefully we'll take it into the Palace game at home and absolutely smash the bastards. Thank you for watching or listening at home. You can find us across YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and all the various places that you get your audio podcast from. Please do give us a like and subscribe if you don't mind. That would be smashing. Thank you very much. And if you're in Australia, just a very quick reminder that the annual meetup is almost upon us. It's probably 2 and a bit weeks until we all congregate on Sydney at Cheers Bar to celebrate everything black and white and also to watch the Bournemouth game live. It is going to be absolutely mental. I imagine we'll score at least 9 goals against Bournemouth. Dimi, have you actually managed to get yourself there?
I've booked my accommodation. I've just got to get my flight sorted, so I am definitely going to be there. Can't wait.
Beautiful, legend, excellent. You're not going to stay in some shitty digs like us, though, are you? You're going to go to some palatial palace.
I will not confirm or deny that accusation.
Fair enough, mate. You're not going to see your bed, so I wouldn't worry about it. All right, that'll do for us. Thank you very much, Dimi. Nice to have you back, mate. Thank you very much, Keegan, for diving in, especially as well.
Thanks,
we
boys.
will
It's been
see
therapeutic.
and that's what we're here for, mate. We'll see you
Yeah.
for the next one. In fact, another reminder, we're going to do a live watch along of that Crystal Palace game. So if you fancy watching me do my best John Watson, along with Craig and Dex, fan of the pod, we are going to do a live watch along of that. That will be starting at 11:30 p.m. Australia time, Saturday night. Do join us. It should be interesting to see how we get along against Palace. But for now, thank you, Dimi. Thank you, Keegs. That will do for us. Cheers, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Catch ya.